Welcome, everyone. Excuse me. Welcome, everyone, to Open Topic Talk. And happy Palm Sunday to all Catholics and Christians alike. Today is Palm Sunday. And even though I am very nocturnal, I hate mornings with a passion. I was able to at least have my coffee and make the 11 a.m. Mass. And the church was packed, was very crowded. I got my palms. I pretty much stood in the back where the entrance was, the hallway, whatever you want to call it, the foyer. And I was talking to and hanging out with someone I knew very well in town, Mr. Tom Jones. What? Not the not the entertainer, not the singer Tom Jones. That happens to be his name. You know, a fine Irish guy. You know, we're hanging out, joking around. You know, that was nice. I noticed the people on Sunday are, even though it's crowded, they were a lot more friendly than the church people during the Saturday Mass. You know, so knowing how people are with significant others, you know, they're probably going to say, "What are you doing online for? It's Palm Sunday. You're supposed to spend time with the family, Yeah, meaning kiss my ass. You know, meaning crawl up your wife's ass or your girlfriend's ass. You know, any excuse to keep men away from their red pill locker room camaraderie with fellow alpha and sigma men. Alpha and sigma men. The pussification of the American male. You know, pussification, just like the pussification of the people last night, which was a great show, by the way. The pussification of the raisin balls that did not even reply and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, you know, I couldn't make it." Nothing. One person, one person uh, apologized and said, you know, he's sorry he fell asleep. Next time he'll come on the show. Mr. Donald Boos of of Dumont, New Jersey, who now lives in San Diego, California. He's been there for a decade now. He loves it. He fell in love with San Diego when he was stationed in the Navy at the naval base that's there. And he, I told him, I says, you don't really get to see your mother that much, do you? She goes, no. Sometimes not even once a year. I says, yeah, but doesn't it feel like strange, like when you see your close family members that are older generation, like if you don't see them that often, they look so much older. Like it's like the age is accelerated. Very sad, you know. Anyway, greetings and happy Palm Sunday to Ronnie S. Originally from Long Island, New York, now residing in Clearwater, Florida. He also attended the 11 a.m. mass like I did, and the church was crowded, as to be expected. And the only difference is the church is only a mere 10-second walk from where I live. It's right next door. So what a great neighbor to have, huh? Well, not the neighbors on the other side. The neighbors on the other side, they're a bunch of loud, obnoxious, dysfunctional motherfuckers. You can't stand them. Oh. But that's the neighbors to my right. The apartment building to my right. To my left is the Church of the Holy Rosary, which was established in 1906. So it's a historic landmark. It's a big, beautiful stone church, and it's pretty big inside. And it's the only church I've ever seen that has like a huge marble. I guess it looks like a fish pond that you would keep koi in, with a trickling waterfall, trickling water. It's rectangular, and I posted the photos on my Facebook profile. It's rectangular. It's made of marble, and it's big, and the priest uses it to baptize babies, and it's big enough to baptize an adult. But I assume the adult would have to wear a bathing suit. It would look too cool for a naked adult to get baptized in that thing. But they can fit. You can fit a reasonably sized adult and dunk them underwater. That's how big it is. It's beautiful. You know, of course, you can't get like an obese person in there. A Chris Christie type of person would have a problem getting out. They would probably get stuck. You know, they would get stuck. So anyway. Yeah. Well, I sent the link to the Commodore Jeff Zambello because his sports competition event started at 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. Atlantic time. They're an hour ahead of us. I'm Eastern time. So I figured that there's a lot of, he's not going to stick, well, he'd be foolish if he stuck around after he found out what his score was. I mean, once you get your score and you know where the judges placed you, there's really no reason to stay. So I figured, what the hell? Let me send him the link and see if he's around, because it's much later than 11 a.m. in the Canadian Maritime provinces. Unless he's got a pain in the ass wife that says, hey, it's Palm Sunday. Hey, it's Palm Sunday. Well, you're going to go online and go on a live stream show with the guys. It's Palm Sunday. You're supposed to palm me. I'm your significant other. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Chris Christie wouldn't fit. Maybe the Donald would. You think? The Donald? You ever see profile photos of him when he's on the golf course? He's obese. The Donald. The Donald used to be slender when before he became a politician. Drinking the tail end of my organic dark Peruvian coffee. Well, we are live streaming with the Open Topic Talk Sunday show. This is the Palm Sunday special. We are streaming on YouTube and X, formerly known as Twitter. I guess Elon Musk named it X after his space program. But the problem with him is when he first bought Twitter and changed the name, he made the statement that he was going to eliminate censorship that is normally found on other social media companies, and he was going to allow more freedom of speech and everything. But yes, he has. He didn't lie when it comes to that, because he allows many people that are spewing hate and lies, political lies. He's allowing pretty much everybody to just let it all hang out, which is the price you pay for freedom of speech. But at least people have the option of ignoring the crazy bullshit, ignoring the MAGA Karens and Kens, ignoring them and just focusing on what's real, what's important. I mean, you have the choice. See, that's the beauty of the First Amendment. You have the choice. You have a choice. Of course, certain things should be censored, like things that are very illegal, like human trafficking, child pornography. You know, of course, those things should be censored and should be reported to law enforcement, to the FBI. You know, but I mean, opinions, people's political opinions or religious opinions or rack opinion, you know, which is a steering system that they invented years ago. Okay. All right. Let me see. Ronnie S. Ronnie S says, James, what floor do you live on? Second floor. I have a pretty good view from my living room. Not a view of New York City across the Hudson River, even though I do live up on a hill. I'm trying to think. If I don't even know if the people on the third floor, there's only 3 floors, if the people on the third floor have their living room bay windows facing east. I wonder, I should ask. Not that I want to move, because I'm happy where I am. I'm comfortable. Once I grow roots into the soil, you know, and I'm content. I like to stay that way. But I guess if you're on the third floor, there is a possibility, if their living room is facing the other side, facing east, that they will have a view of New York, which is nice. Not nice if an atomic bomb goes off, but nice otherwise. Okay, so anyway, anybody out there on YouTube or Twitter, aside from Mr. Ronnie S., who I assume is home, he might be at poolside, he might be sitting by the pool, since the weather warmed up in his area of Florida. I don't know. But anyway, I sent him the link. I sent Let me see. Who else did I send the link to? I sent it to, yeah, I sent it to Donald. All right. He just saw the link. Let's see what excuse he comes up with this time. Yesterday he said he fell asleep. Oh, man. Oh, God. A friend of mine sent me a photo of something that is, yeah, let's put it this way. I'll send it to Ronnie S. and see what he thinks. Jeez. I can't post this on Facebook because they'll friggin' suspend me for like 1,000 years. Anyway. Um, I'm just replying to the enforcer. I'm sorry, the reinforcer. The reinforcer, Andrew Anderson, nephew of um, Hall of Famer Arn Anderson, professional wrestler. Andrew Anderson is currently on a tour with Kevin Sullivan, the Taskmaster, and I know him very well. We used to hang out, go to lunch buffets back in the day. Sometimes Superfly Jimmy Snuka was with us, and the Heavy Metal Maniac. Let's see. He's the one that sent me the rather super ultra risque photo. Let's see. I'm live stream now. You should come on. What the heck? I'll send it to him. Get it. Andrew Anderson was one of the stars of the Golden Globe award-winning movie with Mickey Rourke and Marissa Tomei called The Wrestler. He's the blonde, the big blonde-haired guy that was talking a couple times in the locker room. Let's see. Let me send him. I don't know. What the hell? I'll send it to Paul Mantia. Do I? But then he'll dominate the whole show. Should I? Nah, he's not going to be in the house. Not on a beautiful Sunday. No, he's not going to be in the house. All right, that pretty much wraps it up. Oh, you don't like it? Ronnie S. does not like the photo. Well, that means that, doesn't it mean that the female is a real freaky, kinky nymphomaniac based on the photo? I don't know. Ugh. Oh, well. Oh, no, she worked, well, she said she was a bartender. You mean Tony Roberts? She said she was a bartender, and guys were constantly hitting on her, which is to be expected, but that kind of a bar, there's a good chance it was a go-go bar, and she was a bartender in a go-go bar. because usually only in those places do guys get really drunk and they get all aroused from the dancers, and then they usually hire very attractive bartenders, and then they hit on the bartender. So there's a good chance that that's where she worked, if she is really who she says she is. Excuse me. All right, Mr. Clean just saw the link. Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean, like commercial. Mr. Clean is called Mr. Clean because he looks like Mr. Clean. That is why I named him Mr. Clean. Let me see. Well, well, it looks like Jeff Zambello is staying until the end of the sporting event to bullshit with the other athletes. He's hanging around there. And I have a very sharp intuition, and I have a feeling he stood there and is just, when the event is over, he's just hanging out, networking and bullshitting with the people there. So I'm not gonna. Okay. Hey, what are you gonna do? I'm telling you, these guys are henpecked. I know they're henpecked. That's why there's nobody around. Ooh. I just saw something delectable. I don't know if you people out there are enthusiasts, foodie enthusiasts, but I just saw a really good crispy pork belly recipe. There's been a lot of crispy pork belly recipes. As the Spanish call it, as the Hispanics, not the Spanish from Spain, but the Hispanic cuisine calls it chicharron, which is a crispy, deep fried pork belly, which is bacon that is not cured and smoked, because that's what bacon is. It's pork belly, but it's smoked. And they're starting to host many wonderful hot air fryer recipes, because hot air fryers are becoming very popular. Okay, but please, if you're going to buy a hot air fryer, number one, get a big one. Don't get a small one. Get one where you could roast more food in it, more, maybe some Cornish hens or some turkey parts, or a small chicken or something. Don't get a small one. And number two, most importantly, always read the reviews before you buy any appliance. Read the reviews, see how many stars was given overall, and just see what the consumers experienced. Learn from their mistakes and know what not to buy and what to buy, what is highly recommended. But it seems like one of the best all-around appliances you can have, aside from the induction range, which uses like electromagnetic energy, I think. But you have to have you have to use cookware, either stainless steel or cast iron or carbon steel, as long as a refrigerator magnet sticks to it very strongly. If the refrigerator magnet doesn't go ping, doesn't really go right for it, you can't use it on an induction range. Now, the great news is there are large induction ranges for the kitchen. Instead of a gas stove or an electric stove, they now have induction stoves. And the beauty of the induction range, if you're using the right cookware, is it's based on having a timer and a thermostat. You could set the exact temperature recommended and the exact time, which will go off automatically with a sound. Okay, so it'll be absolute pinpoint accuracy cooking. Timer, thermostat. If it calls for 375 degrees for 45 minutes, that's exactly what you will get, and it starts cooking immediately. There's no like warm-up process where you have to warm it up and wait for the water to boil or wait for the meat to start sizzling. No, it heats up immediately. And if you remove the pan and you put your hand on top of the induction range, it's cool to the touch. It's absolutely amazing. It's cool to the touch. You don't burn yourself. So, which makes it a lot safer for people. There's no accidents where you burn yourself. It's incredible. You can't beat science. No way, no how. Like George Costanza said on Seinfeld, you can't beat science. Science is unbelievable. Okay, now I'm watching the Yankees playing in Mexico City right now. I'm glad you mentioned it because I was going to take a walk to the walkway park along the Hudson River, but it's too cold, man. It really is still cold out there. So unless the game is over, and hopefully they will repeat it on the Yankee cable station, which is the Yes channel, I will see if they repeat it. They should. I think Aaron Judge couldn't make it because he has a boo-boo on his abdominal muscles. You know how these baseball players are. They get a boo-boo and they can't play. They're on the bench. I don't think he's going to Mexico City, Aaron Judge, but Juan Soto is, and many of the others are going to be there. What the fuck? What? Why? It's really frustrating. I know the agents have a lot to do with it, but why must an owner of a professional sports franchise team pay a fortune, a mega fortune, for a player that acts like a fucking pussy? Oh, I strained my abdominal muscles. Oh, I can't play. I swung the bat too hard and I strained my abs. I mean, come on, man. You're getting paid a lot of money. And what kind of trainers do they hire? Do they bother to get these guys to stretch properly before a game? What kind of exercise routine are they on? I heard that Giancarlo Stanton's new physique, leaner, lighter, better mobility, uh, more flexibility. He's having a great spring training. Giancarlo, the new and evidently improved Giancarlo Stanton, is having a great spring training, and Anthony Rizzo, veteran first baseman, seems to be doing fine, very well in spring training, which means no more concussion. So he will be back to normal again. So Ronnie S, is Anthony Volpe playing at the shortstop in Mexico City? That should be an exciting experience for him. Okay. You're right. You're right, Nathan. You're right. Mr. Nathan Bates, my friend from Tennessee. Let me answer him here. Here's another one. Here's another one. Mr. Clean gave me a big thumbs up, which means he's being pussy whipped by the girl he lives with in Jacksonville, Florida. Every time I send him a link, he don't come on, or if he says he's gonna call me back, he's gonna call me back. He doesn't do it. Pussy whipped. Pussy whipped men. These are blue pill beta simps. A man who simps to a woman because if he doesn't simp to the woman, he's afraid he's not going to get any sex because women use sex as a weapon against men because they know men have a much stronger sex drive than they do. So they use it as a weapon. All right, let me answer him. Yeah, right now I'm live stream, but I'm able to answer you on my phone. Yeah, it's the same thing with, let's say, a teenage boy who is seduced by a very attractive teacher, and they call it, they end up firing the teacher and putting her in jail, and meanwhile, like that very hot-looking blonde in Florida that went to jail for having an affair with a young male, teenage male student. There's no way you are traumatizing a young male with raging hormones. No way is that child being abused. You're actually, the woman's doing him a favor, breaking him in like a baseball glove. So I agree with you. How is this abuse? How is it abuse? It's not abuse. The problem with the teenage boy who has an affair with the hot-looking teacher is that they will brag to their friends, and then how gossip gets around real fast, and before you know it, somebody's parents will hear it, and they'll make a call to the Board of Education, and they'll rat them out. They'll rat out the female teacher. I bet that's what happened with the hot-looking blonde in Florida that had the affair with the teenage male student. Well, what I said is applicable to the show, the open topic show. It's true. So what I said as a reply to my friend Nathan Bates of Tennessee also was heard on the show. But I'm serious. Every word I said, I'm serious. There's no way you're traumatizing a young teenage boy with raging hormones and the girl, this teacher is hot looking, and the boy is not rejecting her. He's not traumatized. That's a joke. And she's given him good, solid, hands-on experience. Hands-on experience. Okay, all you pussified guys out there, it's Palm Sunday. Well, listen, church is over, guys. Don't let your girlfriends and wives keep you from being on a live stream show. That's it. Church is over. You're home. Unless a lot of these people have dinner plans for Palm Sunday, Raisin balls. They got raisin balls. So in that case, I will play a few health and nutrition related videos, because evidently all these pussified guys out there are not taking the bait. I put a really good fishing lure on the end of my line. I baited the fishing lure. I cast it, and nobody's biting. As we say in Italian, a baffanculo. A buff.
Hey guys, Dr. Gus here, naturopath, acupuncturist, conventional doctor, and founder of drlandivar.com. Welcome to today's video. Garlic. What is garlic used for? And is really natural medicine something that we can trust, something that we can use every day? Is there scientific papers, are there scientific publications that tell us that garlic is actually useful for our health? Yes, there is. If you know where to look, if you know where to read, if you know where to investigate, garlic is actually one of the most potent vegetables you can use for just about anything. We're going to go over several studies, and we're going to go right to them so that we can learn about garlic and what it does for your body. So why do people take so much garlic? Why is it so popular? One of the best ways of using garlic, actually, and this is one of those studies that I was talking about, is that garlic actually lowers your blood pressure. It can help. We're going to say it helps the body lower blood pressure to make sure that we don't get into trouble, right? But it does actually improve arterial stiffness and your gut microbiota. And this is very important because some people don't know that the bacteria we have in our mouth or in our digestive system actually helps our body produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a molecule that actually distends your arteries and your veins so that blood can flow, reducing blood pressure and improving blood pressure overall. So if you did not know this, give it a like, give this video a like, because there are many more other health benefits I'm going to talk about in this video. If you need something natural that can help you with, help your body improve and support that normal blood pressure health, look for Heart Excel from Fineland at drlandivar.com. If you need something more of a well-rounded source of nutrients and supplements for your cardiac health and circulation, look for On Cardio from Fineland at drlandivar.com. All right, so what else is garlic used for? What else is garlic known for? There are many other benefits. The second one, and not many people know about this, is that it can actually help, and it is beneficial as a source of allicin. Allicin is the molecule that is known to have those potent health benefits, and why garlic is so important for chronic kidney disease also. It's actually comparable to losartan. Losartan is a medication that reduces your blood pressure and improves the health within your kidneys. Why? Because it makes blood flow a lot easier into your kidneys, and it improves any problems that it might have with blood circulation within these organs. So this is a study, you might want to learn about it, but allicin or losartan, this is what the says in the study, treatments relieve renal dysfunction, hypertension, and oxidative stress. And this is true. This is what I talked about in the first benefit. In fact, the effect of allicin on blood pressure and renal function, read it with me, is comparable to the reduction seen in losartan, a prescription drug currently used as a first-line therapy. And this is true. Yes, it is. That's what we use for that. So it's something that you can use also. All right. If you want to check out something that can help and improve your kidney, or make sure that it supports your body's ability to improve kidney function, look for something like Kidney Matrix and D-Berry or Uri Essence. Right down here, Uri Essence at FinelandVitamins.com. All right, let's go. Number 3, let's go with the effects of our immunity. So it does help us reduce blood pressure, improves blood flow into the kidneys. And number 3, it improves that immunomodulation and anti-inflammatory effect. And it does. My grandma, and I know that many grandmas have actually told us to take garlic, to eat garlic to improve or prevent flus, prevent and improve that immune function, right? And it actually does help with that. We conclude, this is what the study concludes, that Allium sativum, garlic, modulates cytokine secretion, and such modulation may provide a mechanism of action for many of their therapeutic effects. So, improves also immune function. There are many more. Let's hurry up because there are many other benefits. All right, let's go. Number 4, number 5, I can't remember anymore. It can also improve or help improve and prevent the common cold. This is a study, and I read this study a couple of years ago. I remember they put many people into these type of studies, and they measured how many of them would eat garlic for a long period of time, and then they followed them. And the result was that they had less flus or episodes of flu, and they also saw a reduction in the time they would get better or improve out of their flu. So this is a very nice study if you want to read about it. Very interesting also. All right. Okay, number 5, it has an antiviral effect. Garlic has also an antiviral effect. This is why many people like to take garlic also in syrups mixed with onions, and believe me, it's a very good syrup if you know how to prepare it. With honey, with lemons, garlic, and onions, right? So it does help and have that antiviral potential also. So Allium sativum does have an antiviral potential. So there you go. There are more benefits. Let's go through them really quickly so that we can get into what is very important about garlic. And one of the things that, let's go ahead and talk about that. One of the things that are very, very promising about garlic is the fact that there are many people suffering from something that is called the atherosclerotic plaque, or the atherosclerotic process, right? Which basically means that we fill our arteries with plaque, with atherosclerotic plaques. And there are many studies now saying that garlic can prevent and help the body reduce that plaque formation and reduce the fact that you are maybe going to suffer in the future from something like a heart disease because you have too many plaques in your system. Now, garlic has also proven, I can read the results here. So, aged garlic, this is those are the letters for aged garlic, inhibit the progression and formation of atherosclerotic plaque, lowers the IL-6, which is an inflammatory factor, and also improves blood pressure and glucose level in patients that have increased risk for cardiovascular events.
There's one simple sugar hack anyone can use to reset their blood sugar almost overnight. Did you know that you can pee out blood sugar? Most people don't know this, but the real reason behind imbalanced blood sugar has nothing to do with eating too many carbs or sugars, like we thought, but instead with sticky protein-filled cells clogging your pancreas. They found that these sticky protein-filled cells prevent your pancreas from flushing sugar out of your body. So sugar builds up in the pancreas and is then forced back into your bloodstream, pushing your levels higher and higher. Luckily for you, there's now a solution. Top scientists at the University of Dusseldorf recently revealed an odd new way to flush these sticky protein-filled cells out of the pancreas. A simple hack you can use starting tonight to remove excess.
This is a study that was done, and there are many others talking about the same thing. There are many few things that can actually help you with atherosclerotic plaque, or making sure that circulatory system is healthy all the time. There's another ingredient that is not, by the way, garlic, and I want to talk about this because this is a gem. This is a true gem, and it's the fact that there is a plant called Prosopis cineraria, which triggers, kind of similar to what garlic does, triggers the inhibition of a enzyme, reductase, and the regression of the atherosclerotic plaque in rabbits. This has never been seen before. And this ingredient is actually seen in this study, reducing plaque of the aorta of these rabbits, and I will show you. These are actually the histological images that you can see that they are more flexible, they become more flexible, the arteries become more flexible, and they reduce their plaque in these pictures. I would recommend you take a look into this study. Very, very, very interesting. And we made something like Clear Matrix, which actually has the same dose they were given to rabbits as a supplement you can take. That's Prosopis cineraria for that matter. Sir, Clear Matrix from Fineland. You can find it at finelandvitamins.com. And then you have many other health benefits. Garlic can be used as something that can support your ability to control, for example, blood sugar, right? It has an antibacterial effect. We talked about that. Antiviral effect. And it has an anti-cancer potential. And this is also very important because garlic is one of the most incredibly well-known anti-cancer supplements you can take. It really does help. So there you have it. There are more benefits. These are all obviously studies that we can look at, we can read. It's very nice to have someone give it to you, right? So that you can look at it and see that what I'm telling you is nothing that I invented. It's out there, and the only thing we need is to make sure that people know about it. All right, so give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave your comment. I will respond to them. I will see that we can start talking about other benefits, other herbs, other supplements, because we really do need them. Until next video, thanks for watching, and I'll see you.
Okay. Okay, the next one is going to be how to improve your eyesight by Dr. Eric Berg. Hold on. This fucking thing. You know what happened? Oh, here we go. YouTube is just as annoying as Facebook. Well, not as annoying, but it's been annoying.
Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. In this video, I want to show you how to fix your eyes, okay? Especially if you want to read close up without glasses. And it's so funny because people wear what's called corrective glasses, but they don't really correct anything. They basically make your eyes dependent on the glasses, and you need a stronger prescription. So here's some little anatomy. You have the eye structure right here. You have the clear part, which is the cornea right here. The light comes in here. And then the iris, that's the color part. Like either you have blue eyes, you have green eyes, you have brown eyes. And what happens is it hits this lens right here. And it's really the combination of the cornea, but mostly the lens, the shape of the lens, which allows you to see, focus in on something either far or near. And what controls the lens is a little muscle called the ciliary muscle. Okay, the ciliary muscle. So really the shape of the lens is controlled by this one muscle right here. When that muscle contracts, you're able to see very close up. All right? So if you can't see close up, we have a problem with that contraction. It's maybe too contracted. But when that muscle relaxes, you're able to see very, very far away. So we have this alternating contraction and relaxation all the time where you're seeing very far and very, very near. So I have a question for you. What do you spend most of the time doing? Looking close up or very far away? I mean, when's the last time you looked at a cloud or a tree or a bird or in the distance? Probably a long time, right? So what happens if you contract that muscle 24/7, or you're behind a computer or a cell phone or the internet, I mean constantly, or your iPad, this lens is going to become atrophied to the point where it's not going to work anymore. So you're going to need glasses. Especially watch these kids coming up. They don't go outside anymore. They don't play. So here's a real simple thing to do. Get outside. Go for a walk, but don't read your cell phone when you're walking. Go just look at stuff in the distance. Spend about 40 minutes or even an hour just looking far away and focusing in on a cloud, a tree in the distance, things, distant objects. What that will do, that will give your eyes such a sense of relief. It's going to take the stress out of the eye and actually reverse this atrophy of the muscle, because it's an inactive muscle. It's not focusing anymore correctly. It's not relaxed. See, what happens, the way you get a good muscle is you have a combination of recovery, contraction, recovery, on, off. What's happening in our eyes is where it's always on all the time, constantly contraction. So we have to relax it and reverse the flow. So just spend a lot more time looking far away than you do behind the computer. If you work all day and then you don't go outside and look at different things, or even when you're driving, maybe you could look at things in the far distance. But you're going to have to reverse that flow if you want to prevent wearing glasses. All right? So that's just a little tip on how you can really get this muscle very, very toned and avoid the whole cycle of getting stronger and stronger prescriptions with your glasses. All right? Hope this helped. I will see you in the next video.
Schwarzkopf has 125 years of professional hair expertise to help you tell your story.
Okay. All right. Then we have one last one here. This is a pharmaceutical warning related video. It says here, watch, caution, this pill causes dementia, which is very bad. Let's see. I'm sorry. Her hair looks great. Whose hair? I left the room. Whose hair looks great? Not this old lady.
And these are just a few of the studies. What is this drug? Why does it promote dementia? Why do doctors prescribe such medicines? And how can you know if your meds are cause for concern? I will answer all these questions in the next few minutes, as well as share a second long-term health consequence of these medications. What is this drug? The drug referred to in these studies is really a class of drugs called anticholinergics. Anticholinergic drugs block the action of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical in our brain that plays an important role in memory, learning, attention, and involuntary muscle movement. Anticholinergic drugs include common antihistamines, antidepressants, medications to control an overactive bladder, and drugs used to relieve the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. They include common over-the-counter remedies like Dimetapp, Dramamine, Benadryl, and other products designed to help you sleep. There are also many prescription anticholinergic drugs. But as you can see on this list, there are simply too many to mention one by one. Two that are often prescribed, however, if you have an overactive bladder, are Detrol and Ditropan. Why do these drugs promote dementia? The relationship between the use of these drugs and the increased risk for dementia has been covered by numerous studies. In addition to the two I mentioned at the start of this video, there have been a ton more that corroborate this. In these studies shown here, the results vary slightly, but are always meaningful and largely the same. The regular use of anticholinergic drugs increases your risk of dementia. One study cited an increase of 46%. Another study came up with 48%. It's a meaningful risk that you should be aware of. Again, these drugs block the action of acetylcholine in the brain. By blocking acetylcholine, they relieve cramps and spasms of the stomach, intestines, and bladder. That's how they can relieve you of the need to pee all the time. However, acetylcholine also plays an important role in memory, learning, and attention. So when these drugs block that pathway, they also affect our cognitive capabilities. It is known that one of the key medical conditions associated with low levels of acetylcholine is in fact Alzheimer's disease, which is the leading cause of dementia. Why do doctors prescribe these meds? Doctors will prescribe and recommend these drugs basically because they solve a wide range of medical problems. If you suffer from allergies, you welcome the relief of products like Benadryl. The Mayo Clinic says that overactive bladder syndrome affects more than 200,000 people per year in the US alone. When you have an overactive bladder, the urge to urinate is difficult to control. It can lead to accidents. It will disrupt your sleep. It might be embarrassing and will probably limit your social activity. So part of the issue is that your doctor is trying to help you. But part of the problem also might be that he or she is not aware of these detailed side effects. Drugs are developed and promoted by pharmaceutical companies. Pharmaceutical sales reps explain to doctors how the drug can solve patients' problems. Of course, the side effects are disclosed, but long-term complications like dementia probably are not. The other issue is that these complications are only revealed after years of use. The FDA approves the drug, and the doctors start to prescribe it. The long-term effects and risks are only known after it has been widely used, but by that time, it has become a standard tool in the doctor's arsenal. For example, look at the National Institute of Health reference page for Detrol, which is frequently prescribed for overactive bladder. It says that Detrol side effects include dry mouth, dry eyes, constipation, headache, blurred vision, and drowsiness. Further down the page, it says that it may cause disturbances in the cardiac and central nervous systems. And it later states that it can give rise to problems such as depression, cognitive impairment, confusion, or the most common effect, dizziness. Therefore, any patients with pre-existing neurological conditions should be cautious. It simply does not say that use of the medication has a high likelihood of producing dementia. Finally, in fairness to these products and our healthcare system, all drugs have risks, and increasing the risk for dementia is much different than guaranteeing that you will get it. That's why you should speak with your doctor, because your risk profile may mean that there is little or no concern. So how can you know if your meds are cause for concern? One great resource you can use is a website developed by a UK physician called acbcalc.com. ACB refers to anticholinergic burden, and it's a measure that attempts to quantify the impact of this type of drug on individuals. Doctors recognize that these drugs can produce adverse reactions. The adverse reaction can be worse if a stronger drug is used, or if different anticholinergics are used in combination. In addition, the older you are, the more likely you are to be on multiple meds. As we age, our ability to metabolize meds declines, and the permeability of our blood-brain barrier increases. That means that we are more susceptible to the anticholinergic effects of these products. Anticholinergic burden scales were created in an attempt to quantify these effects and provide a practical tool for optimizing prescriptions for older patients. So just type in any drug. If you type in Detrol, you see that the anticholinergic burden is a 3, which is the highest in the scale. Type in Benadryl, and you see it also has a high burden, also a 3. So if you have concerns about your meds, use this calculator as a starting point to see the possible impact of the meds you are taking. Then sit down with your doctor and review with him or her if you should make any changes. On a personal note, I can't overemphasize the importance of reviewing meds and comparing the potential side effects. I cared for my mom for several years after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. At one point in the progression of her disease, her condition was very poor, and her geriatric specialist recommended that we put her on hospice. About that time, I was starting to have my suspicions about the cocktail of different medications that she had been prescribed. So I asked him, since he was advising hospice anyway, could we take her off a bunch of those meds? We did. She rallied, and she lived for another 3 years. The moral of this story is that drugs have powerful side effects, and only you should take agency for yourself or your loved ones. And what's that second health consequence I spoke about? It turns out that anticholinergic drugs not only increase your risk for dementia, but also have given rise to an increased need for seniors to access health services, meaning more emergency room visits and more hospital inpatient services. A study published in the peer-reviewed journal Pharmacotherapy analyzed prescription data for people 65 and older, along with the utilization of healthcare services such as hospital, emergency department, and ambulatory visits. The researchers found that the use of mild anticholinergic drugs on a daily basis increased the likelihood of hospital inpatient admission by 11%. And they found that taking drugs with a strong anticholinergic effect increased the likelihood of inpatient admission by 33%. Sleeping pills, one of the most common meds used by elders, are in this category, as are antihistamines, which are available without prescription. So what are the takeaways of all this? A popular class of drugs known as anticholinergics can significantly increase your risk of dementia. Anticholinergics are available both over the counter as well as by prescription. The potentially negative side effects of these drugs increase as we age. In addition to increased risk of dementia, anticholinergics increase your risk of needing hospital services for various reasons. Use an online tool like acbcalc.com to get a sense for how serious the impact could be with the meds you are taking. If you have any concerns, discuss them with your physician. Thank you for watching, and please see my other videos.
Yeah, I'm sure the American healthcare system just loves that. More hospital visits means more profit. No wonder why they don't take these products off the market. Greed. It's all about greed in our crony capitalist system. It's profit before people on the planet, like I always say. Okay, now, let's see. You know what I should have done? I made a mistake. Hold on. Let me just check something out here. Okay. Okay. You just made a mistake. I want to play. Okay. This is by a marine biologist. This just caught my eye. I thought it was really fascinating, and I wanted to play it. It's a marine biologist weighing out the truth between wild caught salmon and farm raised salmon. She claims it's all lies, but let's see what they have to say. Because I don't eat farm raised salmon. Now, I don't know if this is propaganda from the companies that are involved with aquaculture, with farm raised salmon, because people are not buying farm raised salmon because of the toxins found in the salmon. You know, it can go either way. It can go either way. This person could be paid off to say that farm raised salmon is safe, or this marine biologist could be doing the right thing and telling the truth that people should refrain from eating farm raised fish because of the toxic contamination, the toxic toxins found within the fish. But we'll see. We'll see what this is about.
On occasion, but find yourself wondering, is this farmed or wild salmon, and which one should I be eating? Which one is better for me on a health level, and also what's better for the environment? I've heard some vaguely disturbing things about salmon farming, but what's true and what's not? Should I be eating salmon at all? These were some of the questions that plagued me, because even though I'm a marine biologist, I didn't really know much about this pink fish that I was eating. So I did a ton of digging through scientific literature, news articles, documentaries, government reports, you name it. And there was a lot of information to get through, a lot of misinformation, a lot of lies, spanning political, ecological, social, financial, and business realms, you name it. But I ingested all of this information, I debated it internally, and I came to my own personal conclusion as to what salmon I will be eating going into the future. But I wanted to make the most out of all of this effort, and so that is why I am sharing the lessons that I have learned with you today. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover all of the complexity because this is a huge topic. So for this video, I'm mostly going to be focusing on the environmental aspect of wild versus salmon farming, because as a marine biologist, this I think is the most interesting and the most important. Also, at the end of the day, I realized that eating farmed salmon is pretty much the same thing as eating any kind of meat that comes from a big farm on land. It has the same issues like antibiotics and pesticide use and hormones and all that jazz. So if you avoid eating meat products that comes from big farms because of all these issues, you should avoid eating farmed salmon. But if you eat meat that comes from a big farm, you shouldn't really have an issue eating farmed salmon. But if we're talking about impact on the environment, especially when it comes to farmed versus wild salmon, and what's the best choice if you care about the planet, well, that's when the story starts to get real juicy. But I just want to provide you with some straightforward, helpful information to help you make the best choice next time you see salmon on the grocery shelves, and if, like me, you care about the ocean and you want to help protect it. And I'm going to do this by debunking 3 of the major lies that we are commonly told about salmon in general. The first is that we all need to be eating salmon for its health benefits. The second is that farmed salmon is an eco-friendly and sustainable alternative to wild-caught salmon. And the third is that wild-caught salmon is in fact 100% natural and wild salmon. Now, the reason that salmon is a pretty big topic is that it's a ubiquitous type of protein that is consumed in the millions of tons every year around the world. It's this delicious buttery fish that we all enjoy, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry that is only expected to grow in the future because of increasing global demand. You know, the general trend around the world is that people have more disposable income to spend on higher quality foods, and there's this rising awareness of the benefits of leading healthier lifestyles. And salmon is often marketed as one of the healthiest types of proteins that we can eat. And for sure, it's low in saturated fats, it's got vitamins and minerals, and in particular, it has a high concentration of omega-3 fatty acids, which our bodies do need. But the lie here is that we all need to be consuming salmon in particular to get these omega-3 fatty acids. We can in fact get omega-3 from a number of other different types of fish and shellfish, including things like mackerel, sardines, herring, anchovy, oysters, mussels. But also we can get all of the omega-3 we need from plant-based sources, the powerhouses that are chia seeds, kidney beans, soy, walnuts, and even from seaweed, which I think is going to be a hugely sustainable growing industry into the future. But not every person on the planet needs to be consuming salmon for its health benefits. Now, please humor me for this next little bit, because we as humans often tend to think of fish purely as a food source, as a resource or a commodity, because that's how most of us interact with fish, as a piece of protein that lands up on our plates. But I think central to this discussion is to remember that salmon are wild animals, living beings that have formed part of this intricate planet that we live on for millions of years. And what a life they lead. They return to the exact same river in which they were born after spending years at sea and traveling thousands of kilometers. Their grueling journeys up those rivers, often fighting raging rapids to spawn for the next generation, is literally the stuff of legends. And their lives are so deeply entwined with others, providing food to dozens of other species, including things like bears and birds. The life cycle of the salmon is the transformation of the ocean into living things that come ashore and become the biggest trees in the world. So far from just being a nutrient-dense piece of protein that ends up on our plate, salmon are the backbone of vibrant forest and river communities, basically across the entire northern hemisphere.
Thinking I'm gonna start cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly fat.
If you want to drop this,
Start eating more of these.
But salmon have also been an important fish to us as humans for thousands of years, and they have formed central components to certain cultures across the northern hemisphere, up to today where they are the multi-billion-dollar industry that they are in terms of recreational, subsistence, and commercial fisheries. And so big money is involved, and where big money is involved, industry is involved. And so enters the era of salmon fish farms. And this is where it starts to get really controversial. Now, I think the initial idea of salmon farming was great. You know, wild populations of salmon simply cannot sustain the current level of global consumption and demand. And so wild salmon in particular were in quite a steep decline because of things like overfishing, but also things linked to habitat destruction because of dams and that whole story. But essentially, salmon farming was seen as a way to continue to supply the global demand while reducing pressure on wild salmon populations. I mean, we farm on land to provide ourselves with enough food, so why not do the same in the sea? And there are a number of truly sustainable and great seafood species that are currently being farmed in aquaculture facilities across the world, but is salmon one of them? Now, the people who work on salmon farms and benefit from them continue to repeat the story that farm salmon is an eco-friendly and sustainable alternative to wild-caught salmon. But this is definitely a claim we need to interrogate, because up to 70% of the salmon consumed across the world comes from farms. So it is a big deal. And most of this farm salmon only comes from 2 countries. Norway consistently produces just over 50% of the world's supply of farmed salmon. Chile sits somewhere around 25%, and there are a few other countries that produce small amounts. But essentially, a really small area is responsible for supplying almost the entire global supply of salmon. Okay, so what are the conditions like on these salmon farms? Now, very briefly, for those who don't know, the vast majority of salmon farming is done in the ocean in these big open net pens. So essentially the fish are swimming in the ocean, but they're just confined by these big nets. And these nets need to be placed in protected and sheltered areas because they need to be protected from big waves and storm surges and things like that. And that's why Norwegian fjords make a great place for salmon farms, but also things like coastal bays and inlets are popular places for these salmon net pens. Now, in these sheltered ecosystems, these nets are stocked to the absolute brim. We're talking more than 3 fully grown fish of about 75 centimeters in the space of 1 meter cubed. So that's a lot of fish, and a lot of fish means a lot of fish poop. and all of their poop sinks down to the bottom of the ocean floor, where it forms kind of like this toxic sludge, destroying any kind of ecosystem underneath these nets. And in some severe cases, all of these nutrients from the fish poop and the extra food and pellets and everything forms algal blooms. And these algal blooms consume all of the oxygen in the water and suffocate all of the wildlife in the area, including the farm salmon themselves. Imagine being suffocated by your own shit. I think one of the worst examples of this comes from Macquarie Harbour in Tasmania, where we have this big bay filled with salmon fish farms and this teeny tiny little outlet where all of the extra nutrients and poop are supposed to flow out into the sea, which obviously it doesn't. So this ecosystem has experienced severe oxygen depletion, which has driven one species in particular, the Maugean skate, to the brink of extinction. Sounds real sustainable, doesn't it? Now, similarly with land-based agriculture, cram a whole bunch of animals together in one space, and the thing that is bound to happen is the spread of disease and pests. And for salmon in particular, this manifests as an infestation of lice, copepods that attach themselves to the salmon and feed on their mucus, skin, tissue, muscle. Not very pleasant. And these infestations can get really severe, not only causing problems for the salmon themselves, but these lice will spread to other natural populations of salmon in the area as well as other fish. So it causes negative consequences for the whole ecosystem. So we're starting to see that life in these net pens is not very pleasant. You have these fish that are in really cramped conditions, and this is a species that usually likes to spend most of its life swimming alone. There are these lice that feed on them, so it's not so nice. And one can't blame them for trying to escape at the first opportunity, which is what they do. Oftentimes these net pens will fail and you'll have thousands of farm salmon escaping into the ecosystem around them. They then start competing with the natural salmon for food resources. There's the potential for them to breed with natural salmon and reduce their genetic fitness. So it's a whole disaster in and of itself. So to conclude this section on salmon farming, you have ecosystem destruction, you have just about the extinction of other natural species, you have negative consequences on the wild salmon populations, not to mention the awful conditions that the farm salmon themselves are in. Does that sound like a sustainable and eco-friendly alternative to you? I don't think so. I'm not convinced. And in fact, this industry has found themselves in such hot water, and there have been so many calls from various environmental agencies around the world to stop these open net pens and to move these operations onto land-based recirculating tank systems. In fact, in British Columbia, there are plans in the pipeline to completely transition away from ocean open net pens to these land-based systems. In addition, the Monterey Bay Seafood Watch, which is a great resource if you're trying to find sustainable seafood options, pretty much recommends avoiding all of the salmon that comes from these open net pens, but does recommend eating salmon from these land-based recirculating systems, although there aren't very many of them around. This Seafood Watch also recommends eating US wild-caught salmon. So let's talk a little bit about that, because this is a whole other kettle of fish. Excuse the pun. Now, this next section only really focuses on what is happening in Northern America, but it's here that we encounter the trixiest lie of the lot. That if you're eating wild-caught salmon, you're eating 100% wild, natural salmon. Let's talk salmon hatcheries, shall we? Now, we as humans, for whatever reason, believe we have absolute dominion over this planet and everything that lives on it.
This lighter will give you fire no matter what Mother Nature throws at you. This new incredible electric dual arc torch is the ultimate survival tool. You've never seen anything like this. This lighter is 20 times more powerful than regular lighters, and it doesn't run on gas or butane. Instead, it uses Tesla coil technology to produce a 1,800-degree plasma flame, making it the first ever rechargeable, windproof, waterproof, and fuel-free lighter. It was created by US Special Forces to be used as a survival tool in the harshest conditions, and to give them an advantage during emergency situations. Thanks to its military-grade design, it's the perfect tool for any weather type, such as cold, rain, snow, wind, you name it. It was used by the military for decades. But because this lighter was so powerful, it was kept classified for all those years, which is why it was never brought to the market. But a few months ago, the technology was finally released to the public, allowing new companies to enter the marketplace and start selling this incredible lighter. A team of renowned engineers took it upon themselves to start creating a user-friendly consumer version of this one-of-a-kind lighter. They were able to produce a waterproof and windproof 1,800-degree plasma flame that stays lit under the harshest conditions, and which is strong enough to burn through metal. They named it Brightfire, a groundbreaking electric lighter that uses dual-arch plasma beams to light anything in seconds.
I'm God.
So when salmon numbers started to decline in Northern America because of things like
I just wanted to say concerning that high-tech lighter that runs on electricity, Tesla coils, I'm sure the arsonists and the pyromaniacs, whatever the hell you want to call them, are extremely happy about this product going to market.
overfishing and damming, instead of thinking to ourselves, heck, we seem to be out of balance with the world around us and we should alter our behavior. Nope. Instead, they came up with this idea of restocking wild rivers with salmon that were hatched and reared in captivity on land. This crazy idea was cooked up all the way in the 1870s, and since then the US government has spent billions of dollars on taxpayer money on hatching and rearing salmon juveniles in hundreds of US state-owned hatcheries around the country. These captive reared salmon juveniles are then released into the rivers where they're allowed to live their lives, go out to sea, return to the river in an attempt to replace the vast number of wild salmon that were being killed. And as far as I can tell, this is really just a plan to keep fishers and fisheries happy. You know, the US government wants to ensure that there's enough fish in the rivers so that we can just keep catching as many as we please. And they're spending big bucks on it. One article I saw estimated that the government spends between $250 to $650 US per salmon that returns to the river as an adult to be caught. You know, I do think these hatcheries have good intentions. They are trying to stop the decline of wild salmon and trying to bolster their populations with these hatchery reared fish. But unfortunately, the latest evidence shows that not only are they falling short of this goal, but they're actually having the opposite effect and negatively impacting truly wild, natural populations of salmon. I mean, you have these fish that are reared in captivity that are then released into the rivers. They are genetically different to the wild salmon and they are less fit. You know, they're sort of brought up in these tanks, and so they're not as capable of surviving in the wild. They compete with the wild salmon for food, and then they also breed with the wild salmon, which lowers everybody's genetic fitness. And so I don't know, I kind of feel like if you follow this whole thought experiment through to the end, I don't know how they could have ever got to the conclusion that this would have been beneficial for wild salmon. So what is a person to do? And I know you're not going to like this because I didn't like it when I came to this conclusion, but we all need to reduce our consumption and the demand of salmon on a global scale. After all of this research, I have come to believe that there are no truly sustainable or eco-friendly salmon options out there at the moment. And we as a global community sharing this planet with millions of other species do really just need to take stock of the impact that we are having on those other species. And we all just need to reduce our consumption of salmon and potentially even eliminate it from our diets. Especially, you know, if you're like me, I live in South Africa, so all of our salmon is imported and it likely comes from some farm somewhere in Norway, which is destroying Norwegian fjords, and this is something that I just can't really be behind anymore. So as much as it saddens me, I have come to the personal decision to completely eliminate salmon from my diet. I'm not going to consume it any longer because it just doesn't align with the values that I hold dear to me. And you all need to make your own decision. You all need to decide what is more important to you. Is it more important to just simply enjoy the salmon and not think about it? Or is it more important to you to realize what is going on behind the scenes and realize that that simple piece of fish is leading to ecosystem destruction and species extinction and just all of these crazy negative impacts? And that is something you need to decide for yourself. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on the matter. Please let me know down in the comments below. Obviously, this is a very controversial topic. There's going to be lots of different opinions. But, you know, I have followed the evidence to a conclusion that I you know, for me personally resonates and makes sense and aligns with my values. But let me know down below if you've come to a different conclusion or what you think. If you eat salmon or going to carry on eating salmon, stop eating salmon. I'm very curious, so let me know. And on that note, I will see you guys in the next video.
She's a very cute marine biologist. Well, the suggestion I am going to post is that instead of using salmon, instead of using canned wild salmon to make salmon salad for sandwiches or to make fish cakes, I have switched to jack mackerel or chub mackerel, not just because it's much cheaper, it's like a fraction of the cost of salmon, but the mackerel far surpasses salmon in omega-3 fatty acid content. The mackerel actually blows away all of the other species of oily fish, oily cold water fish. And so it has a double benefit. I think eel is pretty high, and New Zealand green tip mussels are high too. But no, the mackerel is definitely far surpasses all the other oily fish species at a fraction of the cost. So that is my solution to people that are eating salmon for the omega-3 fats. It's a shame. The salmon is a wonderful flavored fish. It's great tasting fish. What are you going to do, I mean, I think deep sea scallops are great tasting. I love them, but they're expensive. I don't eat it all the time. I eat it very rarely. So, plus, you could consume vegan sources of omega-3 also. Hemp seed, walnuts, flaxseed. These are high in vegetarian and vegan omega-3s. But definitely look into the mackerel. I don't add if I make fish cakes, I don't add breadcrumbs like a lot of people do. I don't add breadcrumbs. Just like if you read the recipe for authentic Maryland crab cakes, there's no breadcrumb in it. There's a raw egg, and that's what I recommend for the making fish cakes with the mackerel. Use a raw egg as a binder because you need it to hold the fish together to make the cake. No breadcrumbs, no carbs. If you absolutely have to use breadcrumbs, use the imported Japanese panko breadcrumbs, which is half soy protein and half whole wheat. But no breadcrumbs made with white flour. If you're going to make homemade breadcrumbs, I recommend using the organic Dave's Killer Bread. Soak it or dry it out. Let it dry out until it's hard. Then put it in a processor and pulverize it. So that's it. Mackerel's the way to go. Okay, this is the end of the show. Hey, Masumi, good morning, my dear Masumi, from southeastern Japan, Chiba Prefecture. Good morning to you. And this is the very end of the show. I'm going to close the show. But thank you for stopping by. Okay, that's Masumi from Japan saying hi, saying good afternoon to us, and I say good morning to Masumi because it happens to be Monday morning. Yeah, it happens to be Monday morning in Japan because it's Sunday, it's Palm Sunday here. You're very welcome, Masumi. Okay, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this Palm Sunday special open topic show. Next weekend, I will not be home. I will be away for the Easter weekend holiday. So there will be no progressive discussions on Saturday night next weekend and no Sunday show. And because Sunday is Easter Sunday and I won't be here. So have a good holiday. Have a very good upcoming week. Healthy week, safe. And for those that celebrate Easter, if it's your religion, have an enjoyable Easter holiday weekend with your loved ones, with your family. Today was Palm Sunday. I got my palms, like I said early in the show. So take care and good evening to all. Enjoy whatever's left of your